Halloween is fast approaching, the time where ghouls and otherworldly entities are allowed passage to the mortal plane for one evening. You click this video to be entertained. Unknowingly, you have just crossed the barrier from the screen to another world. Subscribing and rating this video won't save you. Out of the millions of videos on this platform, this piece of content is your one-way ticket to the Macho Zone. The Twilight Zone is an anthology series that was created in 1959 and ran till 1956. Each episode involves someone witnessing the Twilight Zone in their unique way. This can range from something supernatural occurring or more sci-fi based, but the important detail is how mysterious the show is. There's never a pulling of the curtain to reveal how the Twilight Zone works. It's an anomaly. The closest we can observe of it is the moral or plot twist of each episode. I love this show. I watch it with my grandpa and it's fantastic. We've only seen about 50 episodes and it's nice to know that there are over 90 more to go of the original series. But while watching, I couldn't stop comparing how similar this show is to Fallout New Vegas in particular. Besides involving some aspect of the 1950s in their setting, they're both very similar in tone. Like an episode of the Twilight Zone, a side quest in New Vegas can be an example of black comedy, absurdism, or dystopian scenario, such as the stories behind the vaults. Seeing how both of these media are similar, I thought it would be fun to frame a side quest in New Vegas as an episode of the Twilight Zone. So with that said, grab a preferred beverage, maybe a handful of candy if that's your thing, and turn the lights down. It's time to look up to the stars, as this episode will be covering the side quest. Come fly with me. Introducing a Mr. James Fisk, scavenger of the South Nevada wasteland. He approaches his twilight years collecting relics of a long-forgotten time, but at the Repconn test site he'll find something else. A chance to become someone of importance. The dream of a species in the palm of his withered hand. The likelihood of this being granted only by the Warden of Fate known as the Macho Zone. In all my years as a scavenger, I've never come across something like this. When I first entered the Repconn building, a voice on the intercom told me to go up a staircase. Another sentient being was inside what I thought was an abandoned building. The possibility of meeting a friendly face was exciting, but that soon changed when I looked down to find a hulking blue corpse on the ground. In attempting to stall for time and scavenge, I came across beings known as feral ghouls. People who were exposed to large doses of radiation and lost their minds. Scavengers exchanged rumors about them, but this facility was the first I'd ever seen one. The light of my Pip-Boy guided this old explorer to the staircase, where I met the voice in person. His name was Chris Haversam, and immediately insulted my appearance. He believed himself to be a ghoul, with that not being the case at all. I tried explaining this to him, but he believed it was just a prank and demanded I talk to someone named Jason. It turns out this Jason is the leader of a group of sentient ghouls who want to participate in something called the Great Journey, a quest where his flock will travel away from the wasteland into the great beyond. A total paradise out of reach of humans and their bigotry. The journey was so close to commencing, until beings called demons settled into the facility. These demons can disappear, leaving only a shimmering outline. He tasked me with getting rid of these demons in the basement. I was intrigued, so naturally I agreed. Making my way to the basement, I suddenly realized that the hulking blue corpse near the entrance is what the demons looked like, and my courage began to shrivel. I couldn't take on one or more of those things into scraps, so that was off the table. So I had another idea. Upon entering the basement, I located an item in my supplies to give me assistance. It's called a stealth boy, and it turns you invisible just like the demons, so I could sneak through the basement if I'm careful, and formulate a plan. However, I was caught by a ghoul named Harland, who didn't buy into the Great Journey promise and just wanted to find one of his friends in the basement. Harland also mentioned that I shouldn't try anything in the rooms as it had traps and dangers strewn about. It appears my stealth boy idea wasn't seeming to work as well because soon afterward I was caught again, this time by one of the demons. Currently, this one named Davison was sane and didn't want to murder me yet, which is good. Though the sane part may be in question, as he worships and has conversations with an odd-shaped skull named Antler. Davison shared that he and his group came here for a shipment of stealth boys, and if I could find it for him, they'll leave peacefully. But that was only if and when I find them. The rest of the demons wouldn't be so friendly otherwise. So I searched through the basement like a mole rat in dirt, but I couldn't find the shipment. On a whim, I decided to visit Harland again and explore the room. I discovered a computer with the shipping details, and learned the shipment was sent away a long time ago.
In my excitement, I jumped and booked it to the door, and at that moment, I remembered Harlan's warning about the floor. My punishment for my forgetfulness was a combination of explosives and buckshot crippling my arms and legs. I should perhaps invest in a notebook for such incidents in the near future. I informed Davison, and he and his demons, or as he called them, Nightkin, left the facility. With the basement nearly abandoned, I found Harlan's friend, unfortunately dead. When I went to tell him, he opened fire on me. I assumed because of the explosives incident, which is understandable. Upon discovering the demons had left, and after patching myself up, Jason gathered up his group to prepare for travel. And in the basement, I finally discovered how they would travel to the great beyond. They were going to fly in a rocket. What an exciting way to travel. I thought rockets didn't exist anymore. But the mood was dampened when I was told Chris would not be partaking in the journey, as he would be killed almost immediately with the amount of radiation on the launch pads. Chris didn't seem fazed by this at first, and asked me to collect 2 pieces for the rockets, but before I did, I discovered a new piece of gear to protect myself from the wasteland. I wasn't partaking in the great journey myself, but I could certainly look like I was. So I collected the 2 pieces for the rockets. The first I found on a corpse surrounded by geckos, and the second I bought from a lady in a junkyard with some lovely 4-legged companions. I journeyed back to Chris, trying one last time to convince him he was human, to where he refused to believe me. He told me how he was forced in Vault 34 to work on the reactor by the other inhabitants, believing to have been mutated by its effects, and that's why his people treated him so poorly for not fitting in. I felt sorry for the man. No one should have to feel that way. So I decided to do something about it. Now, in my old age, I'm not as charming as I'd like to be, but I felt like I could reach a breakthrough with Chris if I changed my approach. So I got my finest suit and traveled to Good Springs to buy a collection of liquid courage. This combination of both sharp dressing and conversation juice allowed my points to resonate with Chris, and he accepted he was human. He then became enraged for the ghouls lying to him and suggested we sabotage their rockets and kill them. But after a back and forth, I convinced him to relent and live with his fellow humans in the neighboring town of Novak. I don't blame him for feeling the way he felt, but life is messy here in the Wastes, and this is a chance for some to escape to something better, something that can only be done with his help. Jason spoke over the intercom to inform us the preparations were complete and the journey could resume, talking at lengths about how Chris and I helped them achieve the impossible, and we will be revered as saints in their culture. We walked outside and the rockets shot through the sky into the great unknown. I'm not sure how long I will journey into the wastes until my body decides to call it a quits, but I do know there's always another story hidden in the wasteland, and it's up to people like me to muster the strength to find them, beginning with a fresh set of tracks in a long-forgotten road.
The mortal life is peppered with dread and a sense of unknowing, a fear of never being in control. We'll never know what happens after death, but we'll know how we live. A dream, however foolish, can tackle the unknowing with brazen confidence, and with an additional set of hands, one's dream can propel them into the impossible task of a brighter tomorrow. The backdrop of this revelation is the Macho Zone.
And thus concludes a look into the Macho Zone.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and comment to share your thoughts, and be sure to subscribe if you enjoy my content and want to see more. My name is Pollymacho. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you at the next one. Happy Halloween!
I see by your outfit that you are a cowboy. These words he did say as I slowly walked by.